The present lesson is confined to another crucial decision of a financial manager. It is profit distribution, surplus distribution, satisfaction of the shareholders, protecting the interest of the institution, proceeding the firm towards the profitable investment option. They are all connected with this decision called dividend decision. Then, what is meant by dividend? Dividend is a part of a profit. Then, what profit is a dividend? During our way of discussions, sometimes net profit, profit before tax, profit after tax, and so on are all the words normally a person, one who follows the financial management were applied. Then, what profit can be considered as a dividend? Out of which what part is made available to the shareholders is to be known first, then proceeded to the dividend declaration and its factors will be an appropriate discussion of today's. Now, under these conditions, let us study how the profit is to be distributed to ultimate shareholders is to be studied. Now, strictly speaking, dividend is the residual profit. How it is arrived? Let us study with this statement and its understanding from this content. Income is the amount, normally it ends. Therefrom, deducting operating profit, operating income is arrived. Therefrom, interest on debt is to be paid. And then it is the residual income is profit before tax. Therefrom, tax is to be payable as per the rate applicable. Then amount available is known as profit after tax or income after tax. Therefrom, retention nothing but a reserve transfer. What is retention? We'll have a discussion in the coming discussions. Now, then after that, profit available to shareholders after reserve transfer is distributed first to the preference shareholder, then to the equity shareholders. That available profit after preference dividend will be equally distributed to the equity shareholders, which is an earning per share. So, the profit available to shareholders is a determinant of the dividend in any company's policy. Now, having understood this concept, now let us come to the concept. Another next item is what is dividend and what it is the other portion out of the profit earnings after taxes. See, out of the total income earned after taxes, then reserve transfer, some amount may be there, and some amount will be distributed as a dividend. So, the amount to be retained is called retention, called reserve, and then amount payable as a dividend is a profit called payout. The proportion between these two are very crucial, and then, having understood the profit distribution and the difference between dividend and retention, now let us proceed under what conditions the profit is distributed, dividend is declared, and on what conditions it will be stopped. If there is no surety, one should know a firm which attains profits may not declare the dividend. Some other cases, company may have optimum profits, normal profits, may also declare the dividend. The underlying elements to declare the dividend, not to declare the dividend, is one is liquidity, another one is available investment opportunities with the firm. If the firm is having nearby investment options, naturally it tries to retain the profits under the condition that if it is unable to accessible the funds in the open market. Some other times the firm may not have the liquidity, even though it has profits, no nearby investment opportunities, unable to declare the dividend. See, naturally, the investment options, if it appears profitable, require funds known as sources of long-term sources of funds. It may be if a firm requires to invest in any investment options, if it felt it is profitable, it requires the funds. It can only procure through long-term sources of funds like issue of equity shares, debentures, preference, or a debt, long-term debt. So, that is one option a firm can go for procurement of funds called financing, called external financing. The other source for investment option is utilizing the internal funds called retaining, what's called utilization of the ploughing back of reserves. So internal funds or external financing may be exercised for investment options success. But relatively, utilization of the internal funds are always relatively cheaper and cost of such capital is almost zero. So that funds are required for investment options. So, if the firm attains profit, retaining some portion out of it as a reserve that can be ploughed back to reinvest whenever the options are required, whenever unfavorable conditions for external financing exist. There exists a question, the apportionment of the profit can only be done whenever losing a portion of the dividend declaration. Naturally, the expected people, the major stakeholders are the owners who invested money, who are the shareholders of the company, naturally expect to share in profits. If the dividends are declared regularly, automatically that influence on the shareholders' market value. If not, the value may be fall down, chances of fall. But not to retain the funds to satisfy the other ends, the firm may lose the investment opportunities. So under such dilemma, the firms may follow two approaches. One is declaring major portion of the profits as a dividend and retaining major portion of the profits towards investment option. Let us study what are the factors which determines the dividend, called determinants of the dividend declaration, called determinants of the dividend decision. Let us start with the expectation of the shareholders. So naturally, shareholders, once they invest, became the part of the owners or major decision making, they expect something. It's the expectations must be known to the what you call decision makers. If the decision makers are representatives of the shareholders, it depends upon the size of the business. If the firm is closely held, where majority of the shareholders are very proximate to the firm, naturally their voice will be reached to the board of directors, then automatically it will be reflected, dividends may be declared, mostly. If not, a firm is widely held company, the shareholders scattered, there is no such a communication, intimacy with the board of directors, then naturally there will be an impediment of such communication. Expectations may not be reached to the board of directors. Now, let us study the various classes of shareholders in a widely held company. Small in size. Sometimes certain investors who do not have the regular investment policy out of their savings, oftenly with the influence and directions of an advisor, friend, or relatives, or any one of their agents, they may acquire the shares they don't see at once. But always they felt happy if the share value is increased. From such a section, there will not be any pressure over the board of directors or the decision makers in respect of profit distribution. Then, on the other hand, sometimes if the majority of the shareholders or some section of the shareholders, they may have a specific feature, a character. Those shareholders may be a superannuated people, retired personalities, one who invest their entire savings in a particular firm's long-term investment or the securities. Naturally, they expect regular incomes. So, if majority of such shareholders are related to such group, then dividend declaration is always expected by the shareholders. To satisfy such group, major group, the firm has to declare the dividend. The next one, wealthy investors. These are the people, they have sufficient income. Whenever a surplus money, they invest in security of some other companies. Mostly, they may be in tax bracketed, highly tax bracketed. So, they don't expect returns from the company. They don't bother about the dividend declaration. But always they see that their wealth should be increased. Market value of the share should be increased. Then, while coming to the expectations of the investors, another classification of the investors is institutional investors, financial institutions like ICICI, LIC, or some other any institution. They may invest some other companies' securities. And mutual funds are also come under such a group. What they do? They are the representatives of their investors, their depositors, whose money is being invested into a particular company. So naturally, if the returns are regular returns are there, that can be shown as an income for the year, profit on the such investment, so they can satisfy the stakeholders. So that's why all the institutional investors always towards dividend declaration. Having understood the expectations of the investor, let us enter into the another dividend determinant is what we call expectations of what we call investment options. If the firm has nearby investment options, profitable investment options, no chance for go for external equity, there were no internal resources, naturally it tries to retain the profit and not to declare the dividend. So, investment options which are available nearby, which determines the dividend policy. Always it prefers such situation, favors towards retention of the profit but not the dividend declaration. Another element in dividend declaration is legal restrictions. Legal restrictions are a set of boundaries. A company cannot make such a decision like a dividend declaration in spite of the profit earned. Say for instance, Indian Companies Act section 205(1) specifies that company shall not declare the dividend, either current year profits or future profits, not to declare the dividend unless it has provided for depreciation, provision for depreciation. Also, the regulating authorities can also put restrictions on declaration of the dividend. It is pertinent to mention here that the Reserve Bank of India, the Governor of RBI, Shaktikant Das, has very recently, few days back, announced the public sector banks shall not declare the dividend until further directions. In this manner, any restrictions may be there in declaration of the dividend. While coming to the another element is liquidity. Liquidity means convertibility of assets into cash. Almost all current assets are called liquid assets. If the firm is unable to convert its current assets or having such a liquidity, cash or cash equivalent items are not sufficient for declaration, in spite of the profit earned, companies may not declare the dividend. Under such conditions, companies go for stock dividend issue. Dividend will be declared but not paid in cash and the background of liquidity. Another concept is financial condition. The firm with high leverage, high levered firm always tries to increase the EPS. Ultimately, it tries to reduce the dividend declaration. So, under such levered firms, normally they prefer dividend retention of the profit rather than dividend declaration. Right. Another one is there access to the capital market. This is very, very crucial. A firm have nearby investment options, better opportunities. On the other hand, has some profit earned. It is in dilemma either to distribute the dividend or not to declare the dividend. Under these conditions, this element is very, very crucial. If the firm has accessible to the capital market, able to finance at any time, either issue of equity or debt, whenever it is good condition, then it declares the dividend. Another element is restrictions on loan conveyance or loan agreements. While sanctioning huge amount of debt by the outsiders called lenders, they put restrictions like not to declare the dividend without their prior permission, or else they may put a restriction like this: the debt equity ratio must be 1.5:1. Until it reaches, no firm can declare the dividend. Under such conditions and restrictions, companies may not be in a position to declare the dividend in spite of the profit earned. Then control. This is another element. Most of the shareholders, the board of directors, are representatives of the shareholders. Naturally, they don't want to lose their control in management. With the backdrop of such a fear, the shareholders or board of directors, what they do is they don't declare the dividend. Then automatically it reflects an unattractive market value share for the time being, so that no new person can enter into this. It restricts the new person to entry into the business. And then inflation. The price increase is a symptom of inflation. Normally, the firms maintains depreciation reserves to replace the existing asset when it has gone outdated. But due to inflation, price rise might be there. Whatever the depreciation reserve came to the end, where the asset is to be replaced, the funds so available, such a provision may not be sufficient. Then additional funds are required. Under such conditions, just because of inflation only, the company may not declare the dividend. Thus, such our profits may be utilized for what we call retention and utilized for reinvestment. Then, the next element, having understood these factors, let us see what is the impact of dividend. If the dividend is declared, shareholders felt happy, they try to retain with the business and then try to retain with the firm as a bonus, and automatically the market value will be stable and sometimes it will also increase. But declaration of the dividend having its own impediments, and that for liquidity and so on, investment options. So if the company do not declare the dividend, existing shareholders will get dissatisfied, affecting market value, but declaration may have its own limitations. So under these conditions, certain companies' policies follows stable dividends. Two versions, there are two assumptions are there or in practice. One is declaring dividend regularly, irrespective of the percentage. There will not be any breaks. Every year company declares the dividend. That is one option. Another situation may also come across. Firms may declare at a fixed rate. What method, the practice we can consider as stable dividend? The earlier one. Simply to say, without breaks, a company, if it declares regularly the dividend every year, it is a stable dividend policy. Then, what are the forms in declaring the dividend? Stability dividend. If the firm wants to declare stability in its dividend declaration, there are three forms or modes are there. One is constant dividend per share or dividend rate. Under this option, companies declares the dividend as a percentage of what we call total paid up capital of the equity shareholders, equity capital. But the dividend per share rate may be variated. So another method in stable dividend policy is every year firm declare the dividend as a percentage of net earnings. So there might be the fluctuations in earnings, automatically dividend per share will be variated. But the third one is certain companies follows a normal dividend, a minimum rate of dividend, every year without any breaks. Whenever it has a profitable situation, prosperous situation, additional dividend is declared. What is the benefit of this stability in dividend? Naturally, it will have the pressure of the company or the firm, but ultimately it has to satisfy the shareholders. In fact, the advantage with the stability of dividend is it resolves the investors' uncertainty. Whenever a company declares regularly, okay, they felt happy, they will have an assurance. And then it is so suitable, the investors who wants to who are expecting a regular incomes. And then institutional investors, they felt happy whenever a firm has a regular dividend, stable dividend. Normally, by default, institutional investors invest in the firms where the dividend has a stability. But apart from all these, dividend declaration under stable means continuous dividend declaration will also give an assurance to the existing shareholder. But if anything happens in any year, dividends may not be declared automatically. Whatever the history and then whatever the expectations will be failed automatically. There is a chance of quitting. Company shareholders may quit the institution or the company. So in this manner, dividend declaration, stable dividends helps as well as pros and cons in this. Right. With this, I would like to conclude the dividend decision followed a stabilized dividend policy. The next coming lesson is on working capital and its components.